Bilbo Baggins.
Did you know? I didn't know this, but now I do. Speaking of that, he was offered Dumbledore.
Yeah. And he said, I've just done a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is understandable. I mean, I don't think Ian McKellen has anything to regret in his life.
No. And I also think it was a wise choice.
Yeah.
Shows you his focus, because I think it would have cross-pollinated in a way because they were simultaneously. But I love one of the things that Indrani and I do a lot, you probably do it, was Stephanie, is the idea of, so if you had to cast, we were doing this with the morning show, if we had to do the morning show in India, who would we cast?
Who'd you come up with?
Well, and this doesn't help if you haven't seen the morning show, but for Steve Carell's character, I came up with Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And primarily because of what happens with Mitch, it would be so shocking to see that. And that would be what Mitch is, that kind of character. She chose for Jennifer Aniston's character, she chose Kareena Kapoor.
Yeah.
And for Bradley, I was leaning Radhika Apte. She leaned, and when she said it, I went, "Oh, I think you're right, Alia Bhatt." That's the Reese Witherspoon character, the young up and coming.
Alia and Radhika would be fun,
right? And then the Juliana Margulies character should be Taboo.
Alia might look too young, though.
That's the thing. She needs to be a little bit older.
Even though Alia is, I think she's my age, right?
Now, who would you put in the Billy Crudup role?
Probably like BJ Raz.
I thought of him as well.
No, somebody.
Yeah,
somebody,
I chose Manoj Bajpayee.
Somebody of that ilk.
Yeah, yeah. Watch the morning show, by the way. It's a great show on Apple.
Hey, welcome back.
We're not paid to plug it, and there he is again, sticking stuff in his mouth before the intro, or after the intro.
I wish
during
we
the
were
intro
paid by Apple. God, they have a lot of money.
They do. The difference between it's funny. I took Indrani to her first screening of anything, and it was the morning show.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a SAG screener.
What?
It was an Apple screener that they were inviting SAG members to.
Oh, okay.
SAG nominating committee. So sometimes here's what happens during the awards time. They will do screeners of films, the productions, and they'll have Q&As afterwards. So Maestro was happening with Bradley Cooper and The Holdovers with Paul Giamatti. And they do that for all of the SAG members who are voting. But there's also the nominating committee that goes, who decides what's going to get nominated. And that's a small group of people who are chosen by lottery every year. SAG does that, but production houses will do their own as well. Apple did it for the morning show.
Yeah.
And when we were there, afterwards, there was a reception. And typically what happens at a SAG screening is a Q&A. This was a reception. And they said right when it was over, this is going to be an Apple reception, so you guys are going to have a good time. There was free wine. There was hors d'oeuvres being walked around the place. And I said to Indrani, this is not a normal SAG screener. This is Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
everybody was there. Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, John
normal
Hamm.
SAG screeners,
Not
they just usually fuck over their own union. Anyways, today we have an old song, 1967 Hindi song, I do believe. Lata and Manna Dey.
Manna Dey. Any relation to Mohini?
It's called
Chunari Sambhal Gori.
Either it's in color or it's called color.
I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out here. Anyways, 1967, so old as shit. Am I right?
Older than me?
By like a year?
2.
Exactly.
I was born in the 60s. And I can still have sex.
Pixar didn't happen. Don't ever show me those. Here we go.
Did you say Pixar didn't happen?
I said Pix or it didn't happen.
Oh. Yeah, it's called The Color Song.
Racist.
You think it's around Holy, maybe? The Color Song? All the colors? No?
The old bamboo. The old bamboo.
This looks colorized.
Is that two people?
Yep.
Definitely colorized. The old bamboo.
Dang.
चुनरी संभाल गोरी उड़ी चली जाए रे ओए चुनरी संभाल गोरी उड़ी चली जाए रे मारना दे डंक कहीं नजर तो यहाँ चुनरी संभाल गोरी उड़ी चली जाए रे मारना दे डंक कहीं नजर तो यहाँ देख भगन फिसल जाए रे अरे चुनरी संभाल उड़ी चली जाए मारना दे डंक तो यहाँ
Those are great camera moves back then.
Yeah. Cameras were so heavy back in the day.
And to go and stop, I don't know that they had anything to stop the camera other than just hoping you're going to land on the spot you need to land. So many songs end with something weird going on when they're in the film. You know,
it's because they're always a continuation. Of
yeah,
the story.
Yeah, there's so often there's something going on in the end. You're what just happened? What's going on?
That felt like a fun. There's because a lot of times in at least Bollywood ones specifically, there's like these big numbers in old films that were so fun, and like they do certain things that are like, oh, that's really impressive for back then.
Yeah,
that was one of them. I really enjoyed that one.
That fit the category old as gold. That was great.
Is it gold though?
It is.
Oh, really?
Although I'm not a big fan of 95% of colorizing black and white.
Yeah.
There's occasionally it has worked, and I've been thankful for it. So I don't,
Mughaliza.
Yeah, that one worked. That one worked. And sometimes it's just interesting when it can be done really, really well. But for the most part, what happens when you colorize a black and white, if you had a really good director and cinematographer, you lose all the nuances that they were doing with the black and white that were part of the artistry back then.
This is the title of the film.
Baharon ki Sapna. Or Sapne.
Read that?
In a small industrial town near Bombay lives Bolanath, who works at the local mill and is the proud husband of Gauri, a daughter, Champa, and above all his son, Ramaya, who is a graduate in the arts faculty.
It's going to give us...
Yeah, it's going to give us way too much. It's not a log line, it's a chapter.
Yeah. And I don't really want to read that in case it's... I don't recognize any religious to the...
We've seen Rajesh Khanna in some things, but I
Any relation to the... What's his face? From... What's his name? Khanna?
I know who you're talking about. I wanted to say
Akshay
Akshay Khanna, yeah.
Is it Akshay Khanna?
That's what I wanted to say was Akshay Khanna.
Any relation to... I'm asking you guys, not him. Arwen Hassan. Any relation to Kamal? Or...
well, that's Hussein, I think. I don't think that's Hassan.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Zakir?
There you go.
Madame Puri. Any relation to Amr? I'm just going to go through the cast.
Just anybody with a last name. If you have the last name of somebody else, you clearly are probably... Well, it's highly likely.
Anyways, you guys can let us know how this film is, if it's one that's worth a watch for Classic Month. I don't know if I'm going to do Classic Month January or February. I'm debating on doing
Anybody getting back to you on that and telling you what they prefer? Stupid babies?
No, more people... Because it's not up on the channel yet, so it's just...
Oh, okay.
Patreon, and I haven't checked that one yet specifically. So you guys can let us know. But there's just so much coming out in January. I don't want it to because there's so many new things coming out. We only get to 2
that can
classics.
Happen. That for me is the big potential push for February, is because so often so much comes out in January, and that takes away our watch time.
Yeah,
from classics, including what we have to watch when we nominate SAG films. Yeah. We're done nominating by the time February hits.
Are we?
Yep. Usually the deadline is the end of January.
Well, they don't even send us the screeners till February 1st.
Well,
ridiculous.
That was because of COVID. We'll get them sooner this year. We should get them. We should get them last week of December, first week of January.
You'd hope.
They're all digital, by the way, this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, unless you specifically wanted DVDs. I saw you have to ask for it, which I think is great. Just send the digitals. You don't need to waste all that material.
No, it's probably easier for them to
they're all digital screeners
as well.
Yeah, much easier to protect.
Anyways, let us know how this film is, if it's one that's worth a watch for Classic Month. If not, what other classic songs can we react to down below.
Juice!